Well, good evening, everyone. I am delighted and honored to welcome you to this year's Distinguished Faculty Awards ceremony. I'm Libby Hallen, tonight's moderator, and I want to thank you for being here tonight as we celebrate the accomplishments of our very excellent faculty. The ceremony reflects Idaho State University's recognition that exceptional faculty deserve to be acknowledged prominently and publicly. The awards presented here tonight recognize our faculty's commitment to excellence in teaching, research, and creative work and professional service. It is my honor to introduce the 13th president of Idaho State University, President Kevin Satterly, who will be giving our opening remarks. President Satterly.
Thanks, Libby. Appreciate it. And good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for being here tonight to recognize some of the outstanding faculty at Idaho State University, because we have so many. But tonight, we're going to recognize faculty that conduct in-depth research that helps us advance as a society. The faculty that devote themselves to the service that fundamentally improves our communities, and for the teaching that imparts knowledge to students in the hopes that they might better their lives through education. I would like to start off by saying thank you. Your dedication and commitment to excellence in your roles is inspiring for all of us, especially over this last year, where you had to shift teaching methods to continue to serve our students during uncertain and very challenging circumstances. The work you do every day changes lives. You make the world around you better. Now, there are three distinct categories we're recognizing tonight: research, teaching, and service. But we all know that while these elements are the core mission of Idaho State University, we also know that they do not stand on their own. We all know that we cannot parse out these three distinct categories. I think we all agree that they are interrelated. They're symbiotic. No one exists without the other. They are all part of the profession that is university faculty. Teaching is at the heart of what we do, imparting knowledge to the students so they can go out and better their lives. The research is needed to gain that new knowledge, to advance our understanding of our society and our world, and it helps us gain the expertise to share when we teach. And then we go out and we help the community through our service. And service is where we build the connections to our community, our institution, and our professions that help us understand society's needs, which in turn helps us formulate our future research agendas to help us know what knowledge to gain to impart while teaching. All three of these are inextricably tied together. So while we have three categories tonight, I think we all appreciate that each one doesn't stand on its own, but is instead an integral part of making our vocation great. And I refer to the role of university faculty as a vocation in the classic sense. A vocation meaning it's a true calling. It's a particularly worthy career requiring great dedication. A vocation and a true calling that is really only complete when teaching, research, and service all come together. In trying to decide what to say here tonight, I was reminded of numerous articles and columns that I've read over the years in the Chronicle and in other publications, and they often have a title like, "What does it take to be a great teacher?" or "How to be a successful faculty member," or "How to manage your time between the three pillars of teaching, research, and service." So ultimately, there has been so much written on this topic that I realize I cannot add anything to that discussion. So instead, I decided to ask one of our students. I asked, "What do you think makes one of your faculty members outstanding?" And the student asked me a question in return and said, "Well, in what way?" And I said, "Well, in whatever way you want to answer. What would you say makes one of your faculty members outstanding?" And the student thought about it for a moment. And then she said to me that it was about passion. She talked about how students could tell when a professor had passion for what they were teaching, that it came through. It came through in how they taught in the classroom. how they answered questions, and even how they responded to you when you went to see them in their office. But that also came through when they had passion for what they were writing about and what they themselves were studying as a faculty member, meaning their research. That as a student, you could see the difference and in what areas they chose to devote their time outside of the classroom. It showed where their true passion really was. So their service responsibilities also were driven by their passion. It shows to our students. Now, I often give a speech about leadership. And in that speech, I often talk about some of my personal rules of leadership, things that I have picked up over the years. And my second rule of leadership is that you cannot fake passion. You either have it or you don't. And when you do, when you have that passion for what you do, it truly shows. I use that passion lesson when I talk about leadership, but after talking to that student, it is also clear that it comes through in your vocation as faculty as well. That the passion for what you do emanates from the way you teach in the classroom, the way you do your research, and where you devote your service time. So tonight, what I think we might really actually be celebrating is the passion that each of you have brought to everything that you do, and how it obviously shows to your students and to your colleagues. Because it is your passion that is coming through. It makes you the teacher that you are, the researcher that you are, and to perform the service that you do. So tonight we recognize our colleagues who have excelled in one or more of these foundations of our institution and of your vocation. I am continuously impressed with Idaho State University and how we excel in these areas. And I know for a fact it is due to the dedication and professionalism and the passion of our faculty. Our students come here to learn. They come here so that they might expand themselves, challenge themselves, and provide the foundation that allows them to improve their lives. And you, as faculty, are dedicated to this endeavor. And you aim to challenge, engage, and inspire our students. And for that, I thank you. For what you do, I thank you. And I thank you for the impact you have on our students and the passion you bring to work every day. So to all of you tonight, congratulations and thank you. And now it's my pleasure to turn over the time to our next speaker, our interim provost and academic vice president, Dr. Karen Appleby. Karen?
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome everybody. It's great to see you all here tonight. Kevin, thank you for those introductory remarks. So I have three favorite times during the year on campus. My first favorite day is welcoming our new students on the first day of school. My second favorite day is celebrating with our graduating students when they walk across the stage at commencement. And then this is my third favorite day, which is our opportunity to celebrate all of you, which are our highly distinguished faculty, which, as Kevin just mentioned, neither of those two things could happen without the efforts, the passion, and the expertise that you all bring to ISU. This annual ceremony has a very long tradition. It began in 1977 with the Distinguished Teacher Award Luncheon, and over the following decade, the ceremony was expanded as we added awards for the distinguished research and service winners, and that happened in the 1980s. Over the last few months, nominations have been carefully vetted by committees tasked with the significant job of determining which faculty to recognize with this important public recognition. The recipients of this year's awards are uniformly exceptional and are among ISU's most accomplished individuals. Collectively, The individuals that we will be celebrating tonight and those who you see listed in your program demonstrate what a strong and accomplished faculty collectively we have at ISU. Tonight, the chairs of the distinguished faculty committees will introduce us to the outstanding faculty in each category. The distinguished faculty will then be chosen from these finalists, and they will be publicly announced later this month. However, tonight's event is focused on celebrating the successes of all of you, all of our outstanding faculty who are being recognized this evening. Right now, I would also like to take a moment to recognize our 2020, so last year's Distinguished Faculty Award recipients. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we were unable to have a formal event to celebrate and recognize their work. And while we did some things throughout the year with videos and those types of things, we certainly wanted to honor them, and I'm very excited to see that many of them are with us tonight. So the Outstanding Master Teacher Awardees for 2020 were Bob Fisher, Mathematics and Statistics, College of Science and Engineering, Vanessa Ballum, Theater and Dance, College of Arts and Letters, Robin Lindbeck, Organizational Learning and Performance, College of Education, Tori Sharp, Communication Sciences and Disorders, School of Rehabilitation and Communication Sciences, and Matthew Van Winkle, English and Philosophy, College of Arts and Letters. So let's give them a Zoom round of applause, however we want to do that. So congratulations to all of our 2020 Distinguished Teacher Award winners. The Outstanding Service Awardees for 2020 were Kathleen Tarp, Global Studies and Languages, College of Arts and Letters, Danny Moffett, Human Performance and Sports Studies, College of Education, Jeff Street, Center for Entrepreneurial and Economic Development, College of Business, Julia Martin, Biological Sciences, College of Science and Engineering, and Christina Blazer, Communication Sciences and Disorders, School of Rehabilitation and Communication Sciences. Congratulations to our 2020 Outstanding Service Award winners. And last, but certainly not least, the Outstanding Researcher Awardees for 2020 were Mark Macbeth, Political Science, College of Arts and Letters, Alex Bollinger, Management, College of Business, Jonathan Fardy, Art History, College of Arts and Letters, Michael Myers, Human Performance and Sports Studies, College of Education, and Danny Xu, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, College of Pharmacy. So one last round of applause for all of our distinguished faculty from 2020. Congratulations to you all, and I'm so glad you are here tonight so that we can celebrate your accomplishments, as well. I will now turn it back to Libby to begin our recognition and our celebration of our 2021 event.
Great, thank you so much, Karen. We will begin our program with the Outstanding Master Teacher Award, and I am delighted to introduce the chair of the Distinguished Teacher Selection Committee, that's Dr. Marco Schoen. Marco received his ISU's Distinguished Teacher Award in 2019, and he is a professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Originally from Switzerland, Marco taught at numerous schools across the United States before he settled here in Pocatello in 2001. He enjoys the climate in southeastern Idaho, and in his spare time, I love this, you can find him working on his research projects, so he's dedicated. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Marco Schoen, the chair of our Distinguished Teacher Committee.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I have the honor to introduce to you the 5 Outstanding Master Teacher of the Year 2020-21, which is certainly a remarkable year for anyone involved with teaching. The committee had the opportunity to go over a rich set of nominees, each and every one qualified, uniquely qualified and deserving of receiving the honor we are about to bestow tonight on those 5 selected faculty. I think I can speak for all members of the committees when I state that it is not just an honor to serve on this committee, but it is also a great learning opportunity about the many different ideas the creativity, the ingenuity, the vast resourcefulness of ISU faculty. We not only learned that some students named their dogs after the professor, and that is actually a compliment for some of us, but also some faculty have created rich libraries of YouTube instructional videos with tens of thousands of views, or take their students to survey historical graveyards and solve century-old cold cases. It is indeed a pleasure to serve on this committee, and it is a pleasure to introduce to you the 5 outstanding master teachers of this academic year. I will individually present each of these 5 faculty in alphabetical order. Matthew Levi. Dr. Levi is an associate professor and director of graduate studies in English at ISU, which he joined in 2014. Dr. Levi received his PhD and MA in English from the University of Washington and his BA in English from Vanderbilt University. He teaches a wide variety of courses, from freshman courses to major courses to highly specialized upper-level graduate courses, such as the 21st century British novel, Crisis and Culture. I had to put that in here. The variety of courses and knowledge in the subject matter have been noted by his colleagues and superiors, referring to his impressive range and expertise, as well as his thought-provoking and intellectually rewarding style of conducting classes. His students have noted the same. For example, one of his students mentioned, and I quote, "While he specializes in early 20th century British literature, and he will dazzle you with what he can say about that subject, Dr. Levi can just as easily speak with great confidence and provocative insight on topics as disparate as Shakespeare, Toni Morrison, and Japanese poetry," end quote. Dr. Levi has special preparation to challenge his students, having worked at the writing program at the Harvard University for 5 years. An example of his originality teaching style is how he has his students read materials. Students read certain works not in present book forms, but as it originally appeared in magazines. He allows students to contemplate the corresponding articles, the advertisements, the letters to the editors and to the magazine, and hence provides how the reader perceived the writing compared to today's printed works of the same author. One of his colleagues characterized his classes, and I quote, "thought-provoking and intellectually rewarding," end quote. Dr. Levi, on behalf of the entire committee, I congratulate you to be named one of this year's ISU Outstanding Master Teacher. Congratulations. Marjorie Montanus. Professor Marjorie Montanus is the sole member of the Medical Laboratory Science, or MLS, program at the ISU Meridian campus. Her chair commented on her responsibilities as being primarily the person responsible for leading, recruiting, advertising, and mentoring the MLS program at ISU Meridian campus. This is in addition to her full teaching load. In one of her nomination letters, the nominator also stated that, and I quote, "She is one of the rare examples of faculty that actively seeks to reduce others' loads by selflessly taking on more herself," end quote. Students have noted similar observations by providing comments such as, "I've never had a professor who paid each of her students such individual attention," and I quote, "absolutely amazing teacher with such passion for her subjects and always willing to answer questions at any time of the day or week," end quote. Her colleagues have noted her dedication and stated that, and I quote, "she works tirelessly with each student to ensure she has the skills to become an excellent professional in the field of medical laboratory science, and as well as that she is constantly seeking ways to improve and offer service to the university community. Alumni have reflected on her expertise in classes and with quotes such as, "She takes the time to make sure each student is comfortable and confident in the material and goes beyond for the individual," end quote. Professor Montanus' teaching philosophy is based on the Montessori philosophy, using concepts-based learning and hands-on engagement in classrooms. Her classes benefit from her rich experience as she has been a medical laboratory scientist since 1985 and has been engaged with MLS-based work and instruction ever since, including at the Chicago Medical School, the Children's National Medical Center in Washington, D.C., the Northern Virginia Community College, and St. Luke's Magic Valley Medical Center, among others. Professor Montanus, on behalf of the entire committee, I congratulate you to be named one of this year's ISU Outstanding Master Teacher. Todd Maurice. Dr. Todd Maurice holds a PhD in chemistry from the University of Alabama and held subsequently a postdoctoral appointment at the National Institute of Science and Technology. He is currently an assistant professor and assistant chair in the Department of Chemistry. He has been with ISU since 2014 and teaches across a broad range of materials and classes. His colleagues have noted that he consistently innovates his courses and collaborates with other faculty. He engages students using TV shows from MacGyver and a remote personal response system, also known as clicker technology. His colleague noted, and I quote, "His numerical ratings are one of the best in the department and often ridiculously good for large service courses that often enroll 120 plus students," end quote. Dr. Morris' philosophy is to engage the students' heads and hearts in the subjects of chemical science. As a matter of fact, he states that, and I quote, "learning to think like a scientist," end quote, is a top learning objective for his classes. One of his students commented, and I quote, "I was able to learn to think like an investigator and become a scientist," end quote. Dr. Maurice does not stop with students' preparation. He also works diligently with his teaching assistants to make sure they are prepared and trained to interact with his classes and students. Multiple students noted in their nomination remarks that Dr. Maurice is an empathetic professor. One student reported her story of not having childcare for her 9-year-old daughter, which she reported to Dr. Maurice, who promptly invited the 9-year-old to come to his class as well. The student stated that, and I quote, "whether or not it was planned is still unknown. But the day she came to class with me, Dr. Maurice did a cool experiment demonstration, and there was a fun class activity. My daughter fell in love with science that day, and she still talks about how awesome both chemistry and college classes are," end quote. We all should be glad to know that early recruitment of future students in Dr. Maurice' class is very effective. Dr. Maurice, on behalf of the entire committee, I congratulate you to be named one of this year's ISU Outstanding Master Teacher. Dr. Shin Kyu Ryu. Dr. Shin Kyu Ryu received a PhD in political science from George Mason University, a Master of Arts in political economy and public policy from Washington University, as well as another Master in public policy from the University of London and a Bachelor of Arts in economics from Washington University. Don't be fooled by the many degrees in political science. He is a published author of peer-reviewed research works in the field of nuclear physics. His reach beyond his field is not limited to our campus, as he cultivates a rich international network of researchers and administrators at other academic institutions, the United Nations, the OECD, the World Bank, which he integrates in his classroom activities to benefit his students. Exit interviews of students of his revealed that his classes are rigorous, challenging, and rewarding, and quote, most difficult thing that they had ever both tried and accomplished, end quote. Alumni have stated that Dr. Ching-Kyu Ryu exemplifies what it is to be a teacher. He inspires, he motivates, and pushes his students to go beyond what they thought they were ever capable of doing. One of his nominators wrote, Dr. Ryu is a teacher who looks after the best interest of his students. He sacrifices his time and energy for students' well-being. He is selfless and dedicated to ISU students, end quote. Another alumni commented on Dr. Ryu's dedication to his students by stating, and I quote, Dr. Ryu was very supportive of each student and understood that our journey was challenging. Now that all was done via remote learning. However, Dr. Ryu kept reaching out and making sure that we were not only on track to graduate, but also checking in and allowing us to accept the fact that we were going through unprecedented times, end quote. Dr. Ryu, on behalf of the entire committee, I congratulate you to be named one of this year's ISU Outstanding Master Teacher. Xiaoming Zhu, Dr. Xiaoming Mona Zhu, earned a BA from NYU, an MA and PhD from Stony Brook University, and completed an NIH postdoctoral fellowship at the Alpert Medical School of Brown University and the Miriam Hospital. Dr. Zhu joined ISU in 2013 and is an associate professor of psychology. Dr. Zhu has developed multiple online courses. An alumni noted, and I quote, she continues to devote herself to enhancing her already remarkable skill set, and critically, she shares this knowledge by advancing teaching and learning through scholarship, end quote. It is not surprising that Dr. Zhu has made it a priority to attend each year a teaching-focused conference in order to further her craft. One of her nominators noted, she is deeply passionate about teaching and constantly looks for opportunities to develop new courses or revise classes she taught, end quote. Students have noted the excellence in her teaching by remarking the so-called social good projects. These projects encourages students to get outside their comfort zone and do something that involves a socially good act. Such acts may include participation in activism, creating a podcast, writing a blog, or anything else that does something good to the world. One student noted on these social good projects, and I quote, it was one of the most meaningful projects I have ever worked on for a class and an experience that I will cherish for years to come, end quote. Dr. Zhu, on behalf of the entire committee, I congratulate you to be named one of this year's ISU Outstanding Master Teacher.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schillin. It really is inspiring to hear the beautiful things that students have said about these outstanding master teachers. It's clear that they're changing and influencing many lives through their passion for teaching, their empathy, and certainly those early recruitment efforts. We all appreciate that, don't we? Our next category is the Outstanding Service Award. I am pleased to introduce the chair of the Distinguished Service Committee, Dr. Cindy Seeger. She's Associate Professor in the Department of Physical and Occupational Therapy. Cindy received the Outstanding Service Award in 2015 and also the Distinguished Service Award in 2019. She also received a certificate of recognition in 2018 for her 10 years of service to the Pocatello Senior Activity Center's Fit and Fall Proof classes. She also initiated the nationally recognized annual Humpty Dumpty Had a Great Fall, a falls prevention conference. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Cindy Seeger, Chair of the Distinguished Service Committee.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of the kind words. I'm assuming you can hear me. Yes.
Cindy, your volume is just a little bit low.
How is that? Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
We'll try a different method. That's one of the things that we have all learned this past year is how to be a little adaptable. I have the opportunity of announcing the outstanding service candidates, and I would like to thank all of the nominees and all those who nominated the extremely deserving category. It is always wonderful to learn about all the service that ISU faculty are providing to ISU and to local, state, regional, national, and international communities. I'd like to thank the service committee for their dedication. I think those of us on the service committee have a little bit of an addiction to service. So we love this time of year also, just like Dr. Appleby does. This past year has provided unique challenges to providing service because of the physical distancing requirements. Therefore, I have been inspired at all of the creative ways that I have noticed amongst all the faculty and especially these nominees, that in the way they have been creative in providing service this past year. It is my privilege to announce the outstanding service candidates, and they will be announced in alphabetical order. The first candidate is Dr. Stephen Chu. He is a professor and chair of the departments, multiple departments, the departments of computer science and electrical and computer engineering at Idaho State University. His service to ISU is demonstrated by his willingness to fill needed positions. He is willing to step up and to provide leadership when it is asked of him. He strongly believes in mentoring and collaboration to facilitate engagement of students, local industry, both private and public industry entities, and with education. He actively participates in outreach events to promote improved pedagogy and to provide internship and employment opportunities for ISU students. His service includes national panels at the NSF and opportunities to develop international relationships in cybersecurity education for ISU students. In addition to the service he provides in his discipline, Dr. Chu and his spouse have enthusiastically given of their time to local elementary schools to facilitate learning about other cultures and traditions. Dr. Chu loves to serve others, his colleagues, his students, and his community. Dr. Chu, on behalf of the Outstanding Service Committee, it is my privilege to congratulate you in this deserved Outstanding Service Award. Our second candidate is Dr. Diana Livingston Friedley. She is a professor of music in the School of Performing Arts at Idaho State University. She believes that educators have a social responsibility to the examples we set within the classroom and in the community. Dr. Livingston Friedley is a passionate advocate for the arts by involving herself in multiple organizations which provide opportunities for students and community members to experience the arts. She is the vice chair for the Idaho Commission of the Arts, the district coordinator for ISU's hosting of the Idaho-Montana District Metropolitan Opera auditions, and governor for the Idaho National Association of Teachers of Singing. She has also appeared as a guest soloist locally, nationally, and internationally, and she frequently adjudicates at local, state, and regional competitions. She has stated, quote, "By promoting the arts in our communities, I seek to demonstrate to our students what they must do if the arts and funding for the arts are to survive," end quote. Dr. Livingston Friedley, on behalf of the Outstanding Committee, it is my privilege to congratulate you in this deserved Outstanding Service Award. And our third candidate is Dr. Robert Risky. He is an associate professor in the psychology department and the director of the ISU Psychology Clinic. As a junior faculty member, Dr. Risky has served on a variety of department and university committees. He regularly provides service in his profession to assist in providing mental health services to ISU and the surrounding communities. He developed an infant toddler assessment protocol for the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare's infant toddler program. As the volunteer director of the psychology clinic, Dr. Risky was able to facilitate the shift to telehealth services in order to continue to provide mental health services for those at risk through the COVID-19 pandemic. He states in his service statement, I quote, "I utilize service as a tool to reach out to marginalized populations, for example, autism, developmental disabilities, Native Americans, with the goal of developing strong relationships for improved research, treatment, and education," end quote. Dr. Risky, on behalf of the Outstanding Service Committee, it is my privilege to congratulate you in this deserved Outstanding Service Award. And I will turn the time back over to Libby.
Thank you, Dr. Seeger. It really does show intense dedication. That special creativity was used to identify ways to serve during the pandemic. And what an excellent faculty we have at Idaho State University. So in a few minutes, we will present the Research Award candidates. But first, we have the honor of hearing from our Acting Vice President for Research, Dr. Donna Leibecker. Donna.
Thank you, Libby. Thank all of you for being here this evening. It's important to celebrate these remarkable faculty members. I know that this past year has been a hard one for many. COVID obviously has impacted pretty much everything, but most definitely individuals' abilities to engage in research and creative activities. So it is especially important this year that we celebrate the amazing faculty that we have at ISU, and to recognize that all of these individuals have leaned into where they find their passion and continued to push forward. This doesn't mean that they have not had challenges this year. I'm sure every single one of them has a story to tell, but the important part is that they serve as inspiration for us all. Thus, this evening, particularly given this year, this is about the tenacity of our ISU faculty. We endure. It is about the desire to move forward, to pursue research, and to pursue creative activities. It's also about how oftentimes outstanding researchers bring others, this will be their students, faculty, staff, alumni, along for the ride. And it's about how those students, faculty, staff, and alumni were inspired to tell us of all the excellence of those chosen for our outstanding researchers for 2021. I'm delighted to be a part of this celebration to represent both the Office for Research and all of those who support the efforts for research and creative endeavors on our campus. There were great applications this year, and this group that you are about to hear about is just the top 5 of many individuals. These are individuals that have dedicated extensive time over the years toward their research and their creative endeavors. We at ISU are richer because of what you all have done. Our communities are better because of what you have done. We congratulate you and appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leibecker. We will now present the Research Award candidates. I am pleased to recognize Dr. Katrina Reming. She's our Distinguished Research Committee Chair. She's also Associate Professor of the Department of Sociology. Her research examines how farmers are adapting to agricultural water restrictions in Idaho, international variation in public opinion about climate change, and the public's perception of ecosystem services in Idaho. Her research frequently examines these issues through the lens of environmental justice. She earned her PhD from the University of Arizona Sociology and in sociology. So please join us in welcoming Dr. Katrina Reming, Chair of the Distinguished Research Committee. Dr. Reming.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for introducing me as well. And my kitty here wants to be part of the award ceremony, I guess. So she's going to look over my shoulder as I talk about the awesome accomplishments of this batch's research. So as always, we got lots of great nominations, and it is, I think Marco said this, Marco Schoen is actually also on our research council committee. So he's been participating in our evaluation of the distinguished researchers as well. But I think he said, you know, that it has actually been really interesting and educational for him to participate in these university committees, because you get to hear about all sorts of amazing research going on around ISU, and it's really interesting. I mean, knowing about what the KDHS health researchers are doing, and the nuclear energy safety research, and all sorts of interesting things, both for the seed grants and then also for this outstanding and distinguished researcher competition. So yes, I will also talk about each of our 5 outstanding researcher winners in alphabetical order. I guess that's what we all decided would be the most appropriate. And so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Sarah Dodsey, who I think unfortunately cannot be here today. But Sarah Dodsey is a fantastic early career researcher. Just one thing I'll say is that I think as we were looking at the sort of past accomplishments of researchers at ISU, I think Dr. Dodsey is the only researcher so far who has gotten an NSF Career Award, and she got that in 2017. So that was really exciting and impressive. Plus, she is a very nice, friendly, and humble person. That's always great as well. But so her accomplishments, or her actual academic kind of background and experience. So Dr. Dodsey earned her PhD in Earth and Planetary Sciences from University of California, Berkeley in 2009. And then she did a postdoc at Penn State before joining ISU's Geosciences department as faculty in 2012. And since then, Dr. Dodsey has been part of multiple research teams that have won 4 major NSF grants, approximately $2 million total, with some additional proposals pending. And then in addition, the NSF Career Award. So she is a prolific researcher, writer, and she's particularly well known for her research on mountain and intermittent stream hydrology. Sorry, that's a bit of a tongue twister. So just in the last year, she has published 10 papers. Her current H index is 17. And she has only been at ISU, for 9 years. So she is starting off her career unusually well cited. And she also just recently had a paper that was recognized as the outstanding paper of the year in a leading journal of her field. So overall, I've gotten the chance to listen to Sarah speak a few times about her research. And really, as we're all hiking around the hills of Pocatello and Idaho, she is likely doing some research on some of those streams. So basically, her research is on intermittent streams. So streams that either have too much water, not enough water, water of a questionable quality. And so her work encompasses both mountain systems like we have here and polar systems. And so her current research is kind of looking at how we can improve predictions of when and where streams will dry up. Obviously important for a state that is somewhat water scarce, and that water is such a hot commodity. And so one of the factors that drives stream drying is when precipitation falls mostly as rain rather than snow during the winter, or even all comes during a single storm. So that's not great for skiers, all of us who are skiers, but it is really great for her research. and understanding that sort of rain on snow flooding events and how they are related to summer droughts. Since snowpacks can actually store a large amount of water that cause flooding when they melt rapidly. And so Dr. Dodsey is trying to kind of understand how ground thaw affects runoff in order to protect probably many of our houses around Pocatello. And in general, she's worked on just studies, lots of studies about water quality in the Portneuf Valley. And one of the really exciting and great cool things about Sarah is that she also really includes a lot of research, or graduate students and undergraduates in her research. So many of her articles are written with research or graduate students. She was awarded Supervisor of the Semester just this past fall. Her students have received numerous awards, and she actually started leading, she recruited students and is leading a large cohort of students to just meet and discuss papers in addition to her regularly assigned teaching. So she's clearly getting students excited about this water research. And in general, she supervised a postdoc, 3 PhD students, 8 master's students, and 21 undergraduate students since arriving at ISU. In addition to her extraordinary skill and productivity as a researcher. So she's also a great researcher, great teacher, and great mentor, as evidenced by all of her students' successes. And again, an all-around kind, generous, and delightful person to be around. So ISU, I think we're lucky to have Dr. Dodsey here. And so the Research Council is really happy to get to honor her as one of our outstanding researchers. So congratulations to Dr. Dodsey. And I will clap to that. All right. And so then next we have Steve Lawyer. So Steve Lawyer is a professor in our Department of Clinical Psychology here at ISU. He received his BA in psychology from Western Michigan University and then his PhD in clinical psychology from Auburn University. He was a National Institute of Mental Health postdoc at the National Crime Victims Research and Treatment Center in South Carolina before joining the faculty here at ISU in 2004. At ISU, he has served as the Director of Clinical Training from 2015 to 2020, and he's currently a Professor of Psychology and Director of the, this is a great lab name, the ISU Human Impulsivity and Risk-Taking Lab. Sounds interesting to me, I don't know. No, so he uses basically behavioral economic models to examine impulsive and risky decision-making in issues especially that affect physical and mental health. And he's currently working on a network to kind of get community stakeholders together to improve trauma-informed and telehealth-enhanced behavioral health for rural Idahoans, particularly with a focus on improving prevention and treatment of opioid use disorder. Both rural telehealth medicine has become really important in the last year, and as we all know, opioid use disorder is also an issue that is affecting our whole country, certainly Idaho as well. So really, really important kind of statewide community work. Let's see, he is extremely prolific as well. He has had a significant impact on this field of delayed discounting and risky decision-making. His current H-index is 17, and he has published 38 articles since arriving at ISU in 2004. He has also received multiple grants, including several internal and external grants, including one by the Czech Science Foundation, and one from the Health Resources Services Administration, and the Idaho Rural Interdisciplinary Health Collaborative. Lots of these names here, but so all of which total up to about $1.5 million. So the Research Council was really impressed with Dr. Lawyer's ability to conduct both basic and applied research in a way that adds general knowledge to the discipline while also helping patients directly in the clinical setting. And so we found this an impressive combination of skills and benefits, and certainly an asset to the field of psychology, as well as our Idaho communities and supporting our physical and mental health. So yeah, congratulations to Dr. Lawyer on that win as one of our outstanding researchers this year. All right. Next we have Mary Nyes. And so Dr. Nyes is a professor in the School of Nursing and also a joint appointment in the NPH program. So she currently, she earlier received her PhD in nursing sciences from the University of Illinois, Chicago, and she has been at ISU with us since 2012. During that time, she's received extensive federal and foundation funding, including from the Idaho Senior Refugee Interprofessional Holistic Health Project, funded by the Health and Resources Administration. This is a lot of long organization names here, but all of these have resulted in her receiving about $1.5 million in funding, bringing that to ISU. And she also has many publications in well-recognized peer research journals. Just in the past 5 years, she published 33 articles. Her current Google H-index is an impressive 28. She has served on the NIH extramural grant committees for multiple institutes and the National Center on Minority Health and Health Disparities, also a really important issue. Also in some of the social sciences, sociology also has become more and more interested in health inequalities. So this is really kind of impactful society level or society-centered work. She also currently serves as a research mentor for tenure-track faculty on 2 externally funded research grants, and is generally considered a leader in research on community interventions for promoting health in vulnerable populations. She's also, as many of our health faculty are, an active nurse. So we have kind of 2 careers going on at the same time, or 2 sets of skills, which is pretty impressive. We have both the teaching and the research and then the applied skills. So she has over 25 years of experience focusing on health promotion and community interventions with vulnerable, underserved populations. And her research, yes, has been funded by a whole bunch of alphabet soup acronyms that I won't even try to go all through, but it has contributed a lot of money, and she's brought in lots of money for this research. And so in addition to publishing in these areas, bringing in this research money, she also does a lot of teaching and mentoring of newer faculty in her division. She most recently was funded as a PI on a grant related to pre-diabetes prevention in rural Latinos in Idaho, and a grant for senior refugee interprofessional holistic health. In addition, she was inducted into the International Nurse Researcher Hall of Fame. That sounds exciting. I don't know if she got a trophy or a plate, and has also been honored for lifetime achievements in contributions to research and mentoring future nurse researchers. Over the course of her time at ISU and before. So overall, we were really impressed as the council. Her research is clearly helping Idaho improve its overall health profile, and ISU and Idaho is very fortunate to have her. So we would like to offer her a enthusiastic congratulations to Dr. Nyes. All right. Next, we have Raphael Nujoku. So Raphael Nujoku is a professor. He's also the chair of the Global Studies Department in the College of Arts and Letters, and professor of Global Studies and History at ISU. He writes, as we were doing our analysis or our evaluations in the Research Council, we don't understand exactly, but he seems to write at least 2 books a year. So lots and lots of writing. Apparently he's a very prolific writer. His research examines the intellectual, political, and socio-cultural history of Africa's and the African diaspora's hybrid institutions. And he's the author to date of 11 books. So including some edited collections, 14 peer-reviewed articles, 29 book chapters, 5 encyclopedia essays, 16 book reviews, and Partridge in a Pear Tree. No, he's presented at 70 conferences. He's published, just in the last year, 2020, he's published 2 important books. One titled West African Masking Tradition and Diaspora Masquerade Carnivals, History, Memory, Symbols, and Transnationalism. That one was published by the University of Rochester Press. And then a recent co-author book titled United States and African Relations, 1400s to the Present. That one was published by Yale University Press. So basically, Dr. Nujoku's book track record is impressive, and overall of these scholarly efforts have tracked over 600 years of history between the US and Africa, using a host of intellectual, political, and cultural contexts, including African American emancipation, the rise of African diasporas, the Back to Africa movement, the founding of Sierra Leone and Liberia, the presence of American missionaries in Africa, the development of blues and jazz music. We talked about that a bit during our, that sounded pretty interesting during our discussion. And also the presidency of Barack Obama. So lots and lots of breadth there in his research interests and his book topics. So all of this amply demonstrates the value of Dr. Nujoku's outstanding research, and we were really proud and happy to be able to honor him with this Outstanding Researcher Award this year. So congratulations, Dr. Nujoku. All right, got one more. And this one, here we have Dr. Chad Pope. Chad Pope is actually impressively educated entirely at ISU. I believe he got his bachelor's degree, master's degree, and PhD in nuclear science and engineering at our very own Idaho State University. Since 2013, he's been a joint appointment between ISU's Nuclear Engineering Department and the Idaho National Laboratory. He joined the ISU faculty in 2013, following a distinguished 24-year career at INL. So basically he has worked both at INL and ISU, and currently maintains a 40% joint appointment with Idaho National Laboratory. So overall, he's been a Bengal since 1984. Probably only, pretty impressive length of time. So he completed those degrees in the early 90s, I will just say. And both of those advanced degrees were earned while working at INL. So one of the sort of hopeful career trajectories I think we think of for a lot of the highly trained ISU students coming out of here, hoping they stay. I know INL wants to recruit young, well-trained scientists and keep that brain power in Idaho. So Dr. Pope's research focuses on the safety, reliability, and economics of nuclear power, in particular, developing a deeper understanding of the associated risks of flooding events on nuclear power performance through component fragility models and simulations. I don't know exactly what that means, but maybe with Sarah Dodsey studying flooding, I don't know, maybe they have a collaboration there. But so that to this end, he has advanced computational models that allow for identifying components and items that deserve improvement. So basically trying to study the safety challenges of new advanced reactors, such as sodium metal-cooled fast reactors, which has led to the development of a comprehensive assembly of sodium metal properties, including industrial uses. He's also developed a software application in collaboration with the US Department of Energy to help with risk analysis and power generation. Also important as we're moving forward in trying to kind of revise our energy grid. And so he has developed this or used this versatile economic risk tool, VERT, to examine these plant components that support this generation of electricity. Clearly, this is outside of my own personal area of expertise. It reminds me of reading my husband's dissertation, which was in chemistry, and I only understood the and in his dissertation title, and I figured I probably would not be able to understand the rest. So anyways, Dr. Pope's research is clearly right up the alley of INL, working with nuclear energy safety. He's also brought in more than $4 million in external funding to support this research, and is also currently chair of the nuclear engineering department at ISU. And so overall, the committee agreed that his contributions to ISU and the future of nuclear energy safety are truly outstanding. It's great to have him here in Idaho. He has acquired lots and lots of money, again, over $4 million, and has served also as a major advisor on a number of PhD and at least 20 master's students committees. So his research results are meaningful, but he says he is the most proud of the accomplishment of his students, which is a very generous and nice outlook for him to to hold. So we would like to also warmly congratulate him. Congratulations, Dr. Pope. All right, and that's the group. All impressive.
Thank you, Dr. Running. And I would also like to thank Dr. Schoen and Dr. Seeger for providing such outstanding overviews, which I know is no easy task, because you could have talked about every single one of these faculty members for a very, very long time tonight with everything that they have done and accomplishments. And I'd like to also thank you three for leading the committees to help recognize the accomplishments of our outstanding faculty. Thank you also, once again, to all of our outstanding faculty from 2020 and 2021. Your accomplishments, your leadership, your commitment to teaching, service, and scholarship is just awesome and inspiring. That's what makes tonight such a fun night to be a part of, is to hear about all of the amazing work that's being done across the university in different departments and different colleges. Thank you for everything you do for your students, for ISU, your disciplines, and our communities in all of our regions. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not give a very heartfelt thank you to Stephanie Shattuck, Ann Mettinger, Steve Wright, and Joanne Tokel, who planned, coordinated, and prepared our event this evening. And also to Libby Howe for moderating so wonderfully our event this evening. This group was incredibly thoughtful and diligent in their successful efforts to make tonight meaningful and special, as meaningful and special as it would have been in person. So let's give all of those groups a big round of applause, and I will hand it off to Libby.
Thank you so much, Karen. And this brings us to the close of our 2021 Distinguished Faculty Awards ceremony. What a fine group of dedicated faculty members. Their work on behalf of Idaho State University, its students, as well as the exceptional scholarly contributions they've made, bring great honor to our institution and really to us all. So we thank you for your phenomenal work and dedication. And we would like to also thank each of you for joining us this evening to recognize ISU's outstanding faculty on this special occasion. Have a good night.